Football has arrived. We have made it past week 0, and we have entered into game week territory for TCU. We're going to break down your hottest takes on TCU football on this episode. So let's get into it right now. Hey, Frog fans, welcome into another episode of Frogs Insider. Jamie Plunkett here alongside Melissa Triebwasser as always. And Melissa, we have finally made it. It is football season. We had real football on Saturday. We'll have more real football starting on Thursday of this week, leading into a Labor Day night game at North Carolina with TCU taking the field.
What an act to follow from week 1. What an
Truly.
act to follow in every sense. It was the most college football of college football weekends, was it not?
It really was. And you start with International Farmageddon, which gave us almost everything we could have possibly hoped for.
Everything.
As far as chaos and outcomes and post-game
fights,
shenanigans. Yeah. All of it was fantastic.
Can't wait till it's us next year.
Oh, God. I just hope it doesn't rain. And
yeah,
I hope
glad it's not a rivalry game. Glad it's not a conference game.
All of those things.
But also glad it's happening.
Hope it doesn't rain. And also hope they find a paint in Ireland somewhere that sticks to grass a little bit better.
Details,
I don't know.
Jamie.
Shout out to TCU grounds crew. I personally agree with their opinion that they should be flown over and should be responsible for the turf on game day.
It's like that guy that did the Super Bowl turf forever, and then they fired him to go younger. And he went on a podcast and he basically just F-bombed the news. This was a couple of years ago. It's one of the greatest interviews I've ever heard in terms of grounds crew interviews, which you don't get enough of, frankly, in my opinion. But yeah, TCU grounds crew has raised the bar too high. If you've seen any of the fields, practice, stadium, soccer, baseball, they're all incredible. But I agree with that. I agree too. I think they should be flown over as many weeks in advance as they would like, because we'd know I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's sleeting. I don't care if every fan in the building is throwing double-fisted Guinnesses. That grass, going to be elite, no doubt.
My biggest concern is what's happening to Iowa State this week. They play in Ireland on Saturday night, fly back yesterday, or I guess fly back today, the day we're recording this on Sunday. And now, congratulations, you have a Friday night game.
Yeah.
This upcoming week. Yes, it's against, I believe it's South Dakota, right? So it's not like
the less bad of the Dakota schools you don't want to play.
Not North Dakota State, not South Dakota State, just South Dakota. But still, that's 5 days to prep for a team that was pretty good at the FCS level last year. And you're jet lagged. And you just had a really physical game against a conference rival right out of the gate in week 0.
Yeah, emotional win.
Will be interesting.
Yeah, and they go to Arkansas State this year on the road as well.
Interesting.
September
is
for
Butch
in
Jones,
August.
Is it Butch Jones that's at Arkansas State right now?
Is he? That might be correct. If only we had a way to find this out.
Are you going to Google it?
I'll Google it. You got it. Okay.
You vamp for me.
I will vamp for you. This is how you know that Matt Campbell doesn't have an agent by the August and September scheduling for Iowa State, right? I think that's how that works, if I'm correct.
You're right, and I was also right. Butch Jones.
Jones
is the head coach at Arkansas.
I don't care what people say. We're relatively knowledgeable about football things.
I named 30 head coaches on the internet the other day to spite the guy who was on Rich Eisen's podcast. So there you go.
Did you really? Okay. That'd be I think that would be a great bye-week activity.
Just naming random.
Yeah. It's like I think guys like to do this. It's not something that women sit around and do. Name an old baseball player. Just a fun baseball player. Like, I think of, Will Clark, right?
Yeah, but let's talk about a borderline Hall of Fame guy, or are we talking,
How about Royce Clayton? You're not coming up with Royce Clayton.
I know. Royce Clayton was a Texas Ranger for, 5 years.
Was he really?
Yes. Let me
I think of him as a San Francisco Giant. No, I believe you. Who was the Kurt Manwaring? You're not coming up with Kurt Manwaring. That's the guy that made me fall in love with baseball. A lot has happened since then to make me fall out of love with Major League Baseball.
Royce Clayton played for the Texas Rangers 3 seasons, 1998 to 2000.
So, I was in college then. I can't believe I didn't. Oh my God, I just aged myself. I can't believe I didn't come up with that. But yeah, Royce Clayton. Kurt Manwaring was my favorite guy back in the day. I did love Will the Thrill. Chipper Jones, borderline Hall of Famer, obviously. I just sit around and name baseball players from the 90s, though. That's a fun game.
It is a fun game. We could do that, but that's a different podcast
not today.
Different day.
We have
a different
important things
brand.
to do.
Maybe we'll send that over to Jeff Wilson for some off-season
Yeah, there
content
you
for
go.
his Rangers
Perfect.
show. They can just
Name
list
an old
random old
90s
Texas
baseball
Rangers
player.
baseball. Build
Yeah.
an entire Texas Rangers team out of guys whose first names start with M or something like that.
Oh, that's fun.
Right.
I think we
We
should be
should do
guests.
that with TCU basketball
Football?
and TCU baseball. That's some
Oh,
off-season
yeah,
content right
that's
there.
summer
Write that
content.
down. Producer,
Yeah.
write that down. Okay.
Yeah. Colin?
Oh, wait.
Beans? Where are you?
Where is Beans? Where is our
Where's
intern
Beans?
when we need him?
Yeah.
Intern Beans, please write that idea down for next off season.
He's really going to do it, and he's going to remember because he's the only one young enough to actually remember this, and we're going to get a text like next May that's like, hey, guys, don't forget.
I know he's already doing this because he's one of our first listeners every week, and he texts us because he's so loyal.
Yeah.
He is going, as soon as he hears this in his ears tomorrow, gonna set a calendar alert.
Yep.
He's gonna set it for May 31st.
Okay.
Beans, I need you to set it for June 7th. I will be out of the country on May 31st, officiating a wedding the last week in May next year.
All right,
so
preacher,
I need
preacher.
it. I need it to happen the week I get back. So like June 7th ish.
Got it. Good.
We
Done.
will begin our off-season content with naming random TCU players and building out an entire team.
I love it. All right.
Okay.
Hey, this is the hot takes are going to be a hard act to follow based on just how good the first 6.5 minutes of the show have gone.
We are killing it, as the young people say. So this is Frogs Insider. We are
Hype
part of the
shit.
Dave Campbell's. I'm glad you said
You can
that
tell
right
school
as I
has
said.
started.
I'm glad you said that right as I was saying the name
Got
of
into the
our
sponsored
podcast
read.
partner. Yes, Dave Campbell's Texas
Sorry,
Football. We are part of the Dave Campbell's Football Podcast Network.
Yeah.
I believe that's what it's called now. We changed names recently. I didn't read the whole email. Craven doesn't listen to this show, so we're fine.
Yeah, the TLDR
Anyways.
is we have to update the logo.
We're the
Very
TCU
Cracker Barrel-esque new logo.
but we're gonna do it better than Cracker Barrel. We're the TCU podcast and the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Podcast Network. There is a podcast for every D1 program in the state of Texas. You can search that on any podcast provider. Just search Dave Campbell's Texas Football and we'll show up. You'll get all of those podcasts in one feed. If that's too much and overwhelming for you, or you just don't want to listen to guys like Gambling Gaucho or Between Two Bears, I understand.
I don't want to listen to them right now.
Just search Frogs Insider. Our feed will pop up, and we're going to have more on our feed this year, similar to last year, than will show up in the Dave Campbell's feed. So subscribe to both feeds.
Yeah.
Do that. And then
out.
go over to the YouTube channel and like the YouTube channel as well. Like the videos, all the kinds of things that we do over there. Melissa had a really great interview with Eric Bell, TCU's women's soccer coach, the other day, who is now the winningest soccer coach in TCU history after a 3-0 start and a huge win over ranked top 10 Iowa in Iowa.
Gutty win out there. And
Brilliant
they're playing
win.
without some really good players right now.
Yes, some of whom may be back soon,
Yes,
which will be very
some of
nice to
whom
hear.
Should be back very soon.
But again, those are
Big game on the road too Thursday in Austin.
Texas.
Big
At
game in there. And
Texas.
then they're home. And TCU volleyball also getting up and running. I know we're going to talk a lot of hot takes. I feel like I've got to plug the non-football sports while we have the opportunity, right?
Yeah, let's just keep people baited and waiting.
On the hook. Yeah. No, hey, listen, it's been a really, really great fall for TCU athletics only because only TCU soccer is playing. And if they're playing, they're probably winning.
This is true.
They do.
And TCU volleyball did beat SMU in an exhibition. It was very fun to see. Went over to Dallas and
That's a
beat
ranked
the Mustangs.
opponent as well, right?
Top 10, I believe.
think they're number
Hey,
10.
how about that?
Look
All right,
at us
Melissa,
go.
we've got a task here today on the show. We sent out a request earlier today, Sunday, the day we are recording this. I tweeted it out. I said, give us your hot takes. I posted it on Horn Frog Blitz, said, give us your hot takes. And we had a lot of responses. This is something we've done. I think this is year 3 of doing the hot takes episode. And we have over 50 again this year. Y'all are insane. Some of these are varying degrees of hot. We will grade your hotness as far as your takes are concerned. This is not we don't have, we can't see you guys.
That's honestly for the best for everybody involved, probably.
Truly. We will grade
I've
the
seen the
hotness of
comments.
your takes. We'll grade the hotness of your takes, and then we will move on with our lives. Okay, Melissa, let's jump in since we're now 9 minutes and 45 seconds into this
We're
episode.
so good at this.
Hot take
People listen
number
to this
1.
show. Amazing.
They watch it on YouTube. They watched it. We had like
Crazy.
over 500 people watch it on YouTube
Really
last
appreciate you
last episode.
guys.
So yeah,
Yeah.
y'all are the greatest
Thank
fan
you
base on the
for,
planet. We love
yeah,
you uh, so much.
seriously.
Hot take number one. Here we go. Hyperfrog says the defense will be top 20 nationally. We will own the trenches on that side of the ball. And then the caveat: this assumes the Deal brothers are both healthy, Marcus and Devin. Melissa, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is this take?
This is I think I'm going to rate mine today on Taco Bell sauces. I think that's going to be my barometer. That
Okay,
just feels right.
we're pivoting live
I'm
on
going to
air.
go, yeah, I am going to go with this is hot. It is not fire. And it is not whatever's beyond fire, right?
Okay, so you're using a scale you don't know all the
Yeah,
measurements to.
no,
Taco
no.
Bell
Okay, you're
hot
gonna so
sauces.
so so let me while you get my scale like worked out for me. Thank you for that, by the way. Let me tell you why. I think top 20 nationally, maybe not, but I would be shocked if this unit is not top 30 nationally, assuming the Deal brothers are healthy. I like that caveat. I'm going to adopt it for myself. I do think that there is a lot of talent, there's a lot of depth, and there's a lot of experience, and so I do expect the defense to not be the problem this year. I don't think the offense is going to be the problem, but at the beginning of last season, they really could not get a stop when they needed it most. If you look at the UCF game in the second half, if you look at the Baylor game, those were very, very winnable games where the defense just could not get stops, especially against the run. I don't think it will be that bad this year. I do think this unit will be very competitive and much more solid and in the top 30, maybe top 35 range overall. So hot take, not super spicy.
Mild, hot, fire, Diablo are your
Diablo. Okay. Okay. So
four to
yeah,
go with.
I'm gonna give this hot.
Okay. I like this. I'm gonna stick on the 1 to 10 scale. I'm gonna give this a 6.5
Okay.
because I think that the caveat maybe lowers it a little bit, gives you an off ramp, if you will.
Love an off ramp.
Um, Top 20, we're thinking like Utah's defense was 19th in the country last year, right? That was a really solid defense.
Okay.
And I think it's fully plausible that if the Frogs, A, have everyone healthy, and B, are more comfortable in Andy Avalos' scheme this year, that they could approach that ranking as far as defense is concerned. Um, that being said, they also play some very high potential offenses this season. We're talking about SMU. We're talking about Baylor on the road against Arizona State. Kansas State's offense didn't look great in week 0, but you're going to assume that by the time TCU plays them in Manhattan, there will be some improvement. And so there's some opportunities to face some really good offenses. I'm excited to see how TCU responds to all of those offenses because they are varied in what they want to do with the football. But I'm going to say 6.5 for this take because I think it is on the hotter half of the scale, just because of the schedule and what's going on
Sure.
for TCU this
I
year.
like it. I like it.
Okay,
Well done, Hyperfrog. Thank you. Good start.
love you, Hyperfrog. Moving on to hot take number 2. Asher Cook 1 says TCU averages 160 rushing yards per game.
So
Melissa,
they
mild,
averaged
hot, fire, or Diablo?
they averaged about 110, 111 last year. Is that right? Something in there?
I think it was 113. They were
One thir-
113th in rushing
yeah. I
last
think
year.
it was in that low 110s range. Again, if only we had a way to verify this. I could look things up ahead
They
of
were
time.
13th in the Big 12 with 113.9
Okay.
yards per
So
game.
good memory, sir. This is how I
I
know
just
you're
Googled
younger
it,
than me. Yeah.
but I am younger than you, and we should
Yeah.
let people know that.
That's fine. It's I'm getting older here real quick.
So that's a
So
jump of roughly 50 yards per game.
yeah, 50 yards per game. There's still a lot of questions. I am going to say this is Diablo. I think
Wow.
that 50 yards a game is a big jump. While I do think that the rushing game will be improved, and again, will not be the problem, will not be what holds TCU back this year. I think asking for an additional 50 yards while only really adding potentially 2 pieces is a lot to do. I think that they'll average closer to like the 145-ish range. So maybe Diablo's a little unfair, but I just think that 50-yard leap is what's kind of sticking with me.
I'm going to say this is a 7.5.
Okay.
It's hotter than the last take. And I swore last fall, after fall camp, that I would not make any bold or grand statements about the run game
Uh, there's a
until
mustache coming,
there's a
so
mustache bet that I have with Colton Deary. This
we
is not
haven't
the time to
forgotten
talk
Colton.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, it is about the run game in week 1 against North Carolina. If they run for over 200 yards, I will go back to a mustache for the rest of September per my handshake with Colton Deary.
As
Anyways,
will the entire offensive line. I just don't know if the rest of them know that.
I think it's just me and Colton are locked
It's
into
just you.
this.
Okay, you guys are locked in. Good.
Anywho, I believe that TCU's run game will be improved this year. Getting to 160 yards per game, making that 50-yard jump per game from last season hinges on a couple different things, right? It hinges on the offensive line being improved. It hinges on the multitude of running backs all having, grown and progressed, especially the ones that were in that room last year. And it's going to require at least one of those guys to step up into a semi lead back role. And so 7.5 is where I am with this because I wouldn't be shocked to see the run game get to around like 140, but 160 feels like a pretty big jump, especially when you consider that Josh Hoover doesn't really run at all. Like if there was a more mobile quarterback behind center this year, yeah, sign me up. I would say that this isn't that hot of a take, but because it's Josh Hoover and because the running game is hinging on a couple different things, some big changes this year, I'm going to say 7.5.
Okay, I like it.
All right, moving on to hot take number 3. Ridge Babyface, or I'm assuming just original Babyface. TCU will actually have a solid run game for the first time since 2022.
Mild, this is absolutely happening. I do think this is going to be a solid. I think is the floor for this running game.
What does solid mean to you?
Solid means that's a great question. To me, solid means again they aren't the problem, right? This isn't like the pre-Wildcat issue. So that to me means I'm not afraid to go for it on 3rd and 4 with a running one play, right? I'm confident I can convert and short downs, even 4th and short. So if I'm on the 45-yard, the opponent's 45 and it's 4th and 1, I'm incredibly confident I'm going to pick up that 1 or 2 yards. I don't feel like we've had that in a couple of years, right? In several years, really. It means that I've got guys that can break a big play to keep the defense honest, but they don't necessarily have to run. I don't need a 100-yard rusher every game. That to me, now we get into good to great territory. So solid means I can trust them. They've got guys that can handle the rock and not turn the ball over. They can convert on 3rd and 4th and short, and they can also break away for a big play. I just want to like 2022. Like Kendra was really really good. That was probably a good to at times great running game, but Max still won a lot of games.
Don't discount Amari DiMercado's role in that.
Yeah, and honestly, like you're absolutely right on that. Like for real, like he we don't win the Fiesta Bowl without him. And that guy is carving out himself out a really incredible pro career. But you know what, Amari DiMercado, that's a solid run game. He is the definition of a solid run game. If you got 2 or 3 guys that can Amari DiMercado that, solid, done.
I agree with you. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10 because I think Kavorian Barnes and John Denman specifically have more ability to fall forward
Oh, so
than
true.
any running back that was on the roster in 2024.
Jason Witten, man.
I think they're strong. Exactly, Jason Witten. Like you can hit it. He may not get a ton of yak at times, but he's going to fall forward. He's going to get you that extra yard or 2 yards just by falling in the right direction. And I see a lot of that in Kavorian Barnes and John Denman. We've got a couple takes about Kavorian Barnes and John Denman down the road, so we're not going to spoil those. But I give this a 4 out of 10 for that reason.
I like it.
Hot take number 4. Here we go. GoFrog74 says our season will be determined by our first 3 games. And then he added more, but I didn't have room to put it. Let me pull it up really quickly. He said our season will be determined by our first 3 games. Where did it go? TCU starts the season 3-0. We go to the playoff. 2-1, 8-9 wins. 1-2, 6-6 or 5-7. 0-3. Pack your bags, Dykes.
Oof. Yeah, go ahead. You go first this time.
So 0-3 means you lose to Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
So
disaster.
But just again, our season will be determined by our first 3 games. I'm gonna say that is a 7.5, maybe a 7.75 on the
Okay.
heat meter because you don't play any Big 12 games in the first three games this year.
Exactly.
And if you drop a game to North Carolina, God forbid you drop North Carolina and SMU, you still haven't lost a Big 12 game.
Hmm.
And there's opportunity to right the ship. There's opportunity to bounce back. We saw TCU bounce back from a really rough first half of the season last year and go on to win 6 of their last 7.
Hmm.
Would that be more challenging this year? The schedule would suggest yes, but we haven't seen any but 2 of these teams play yet. 3, I guess, but TCU doesn't play Kansas this year. So I'm going to say this is 7.75. I think this is the hottest take we've had so far just because there are no Big 12 games in the first 3 games of the year for TCU.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think this is Diablo level for exactly that reason. If you are 1-2 and you've lost, let's say, close games to UNC on the road, you losing to UNC would be bad. Like I think we all acknowledge that losing to SMU would hurt worse, but would be less bad because that's a good team, unfortunately. But if you were 1-2, if you lose to ACU, yeah, all bets are off. Whatever, we're toast at that point. But if you lose 2 of those games and you come back and you beat Arizona State on the road, you're who cares? Like, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what matters. Like, yes, from a fan perspective, a fan interest perspective, a locked in, you'll have a lot of work to do if you lose 2 of those first 3 games. But you can undo all of that by going on the road and winning. So I think you're absolutely right. The goal is to win conference. Yes, like playoffs, all of those types of things. We would love that. I don't think TCU's in a position where they need to be thinking about the playoffs in August or September. I think they need to be focused on getting back to Arlington and playing for a Big 12 championship, something that they've never won outright, and they've never won a Big 12 championship game, period, right? So to me, that's the thing that matters most. It's a tough Big 12 schedule. You would love to have a couple early wins under your belt because of that so that you can at least lock up bowl eligibility and not have to be too stressed out in November. But at the end of the day, I want to see this team win a Big 12 championship more than I want to see them beat SMU. And I really want to see them beat SMU. But at the end of the day, it's not the ultimate. It's not part of the ultimate goal. I mean, unless I'm underselling this as a potential championship team. So my
I
bad.
think I think what Mike Buddy has said a couple times since he's been at TCU kind of stands out in this conversation where he says he believes that if TCU's teams are competing for Big 12 championships, then they will, by logic, be competing for national championships. I think that's a little bit of a different. I think that's a little bit of a hotter take in and of itself when you're talking about football specifically versus basketball, baseball, or any of the non-rev sports. But I think there is something to that where if you're in a position to win your league, then you're going to be in a position to have an opportunity to play for a national championship and
Yeah.
obviously in football, play in the college football playoff.
Yeah. And that's what ultimately matters.
Hot take number 5. Here we go. Classic Phil says TCU outscores opponents by an average of 10 points per game. Melissa, where are you on
That's
this one?
pretty spicy. That's pretty spicy. Again, if you look at the schedule, you've got to go on the road with a team that's completely redone. You may beat the brakes off of them. I think TCU is the better team. I think they're the better team by a considerable margin. I would not be surprised by a 2 score, but you just don't know what to expect in week 1. Abilene Christian is a game TCU should win. They should win handily, but we saw them give Tech everything they could, like, so that's not necessarily just a joke of a team. The way the schedule plays out, there's just not a whole lot of games that you look at and think TCU is going to run away with this one. Your easiest opponents are probably Cincinnati. West Virginia might be a hot mess, but TCU hasn't played very well in Morgantown. BYU might be a hot mess, but you've got to go to Provo. I mean, I think the games that you would anticipate being able to run away from are on the road. And, that's just, we'll see how the run game travels, right? Run game and defense determine how you play on the road for the most part. So even Houston, like you would think maybe Houston's a game they should win pretty handily, but we saw what happened a year ago, like
Mm-hmm.
at home. So I would be ecstatic. I'm already getting a little bit more gray, so I would love for this to be the case. I don't think it's going to happen.
Mild hot fire or Diablo?
Diablo.
Okay.
I guess I got to stick to my rating, huh?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say this is, gosh, 10.5 points is a lot, or 10 plus points is
Yeah.
so many points. It's an indicator that Phil is very confident not only in the offense but also the defense, right?
Yeah.
Because the other end of that is if you're keeping other teams low scoring while you're scoring a ton, that makes this a little bit easier to achieve. I do think the defense will be better this year. I think the offense will be more well rounded this year, because of what I expect. Bless you. What I expect to be
I
a
mean, I was late on the mute.
You missed the mute
I
by
tried so hard.
a mile. You swung at that mute button like you were trying to hit a Shohei Otani slider and just swung at it.
Everybody does that these days, though.
Brutal, just a brutal miss. It's
Sorry,
okay
everyone
though.
listening
That
at
mute
home.
button, that mute button was Tarek Skubal, and you whiffed.
Wow.
Anyways, I do think that TCU's offense will be more well-rounded this year because of what I anticipate being an improved running game. I think the defense will also be better this year. 10.5 or 10 points is a lot of points to average a win by. So I'm going to say that this take that Classic Phil has is an 8.5. This is getting up there. This is incredibly hot. I don't know that. I mean, I would love to see it happen, but I just don't.
Yeah.
Hot take number 6. Addison 936 says Caleb Elarms Orr earns himself first team All Big 12, and we double our team totals for sacks this season. So this is a two-parter: mild, hot fire, or Diablo.
What was the sack total a season ago?
Let me pull it up.
I keep making you do all my statistical work.
This is
Our
fine.
intern sucks.
2024 cumulative stats. Yeah, Beans no showed, and that's brutal for us.
Per usual, that guy. I will say on the first part, I'm going to go mild. This is a pretty good linebacking conference. There's some pretty good linebacker play. I think what we saw at Iowa State in week 0 was incredibly impressive, especially when you think about what Avery Johnson could do with his legs. And for the most part, they really contained him. And so I think it's going to be very competitive. That being said, I think TCU's linebackers are as good as anybody in this conference. And I love Nnamdi. I think he's going to be awesome. But Caleb Elarms Orr is a guy who has a chance to kind of pop because he was more of a role player. I think people start to take guys for granted. And Nnamdi's a guy that's been around for a long time. And maybe you just expect him to be really, really good every year. Whereas I think Caleb has a chance to really impress people and to so dramatically increase his statistics because he had a more limited role a season ago that he can earn a first team Big 12 selection.
I agree with that. I missed mild, hot fire, or Diablo on this.
I gave this mild, but I'm waiting to know the season.
TCU had 26 sacks a year ago.
Really?
That would mean that, yeah, not very many. That would mean that they would need 52 this year to double their team totals in sacks. That's if they play all 12 games and a bowl game. So just say 13. That's 4 sacks a game.
Wow, that's probably hot. Especially because we've got some guys banged up right now. I won't say it's impossible. I see them more kind of in if TCU's averaging 2.5 to 3.5 sacks a game, they're probably doing something right. If they can feast on some of the weaker offensive line units, and I don't think it's impossible by any stretch of the imagination. But that to me seems a little bit less likely than KEO getting first team All Big 12.
Well, I think Caleb Elarms Orr getting. I mean, there are so many good defenders in the league. I think I'm gonna say that KEO earning first team All Big 12 is a 6.5. I'm gonna say doubling the team totals for sacks. I mean, we're not talking about 2.5 or 3.5 sacks a game. We're talking about 4 sacks a game.
Yeah.
That is consistently being one of the best pass rushing teams in the country.
Yeah.
I think that one's up there around like an 8.25.
Okay.
For me.
I like it.
I think that one's incredibly hot. Would love to see it. Hot, spicy take from Addison 936.
Okay.
Hot take number 7. John Denman runs for 600 plus yards as a backup running back. That's from Pluto Brown.
Man,
mild, hot, fire, or Diablo.
I want to give this one hot. I'm gonna give it fire. I really like John Denman. I think he's gonna be a star. I just think that it's going to be hard for him to get enough touches to get to 600 yards. I do think he will contribute. I think he will have at least one game where we look back and we're like, John Denman is the reason that TCU won this game, right? Like I feel like he's going to have one of those nights that where you just go, oh yeah, he's going to be special. But there's just so much talent, and we know that KB likes to spread the ball around in that sense. That if you've got options, you have opportunities. And I think that we're going to have to find ways to get Kavorian Barnes, Nate Palmer, and Jeremy Payne involved as well. And that's just going to be the only thing that prevents John Denman from a big season like that, or a moderately big season like that, is just he's just not going to get the touches because there's so many guys that need the ball in their hands.
I think the touches thing is kind of what hangs me up on this one. Um, but I will contribute my own hot take to this. I think John Denman is maybe getting the bulk of the snaps by the end of the season.
I like that.
I just don't know when that transition
Yeah.
happens. And so I'm putting this as a 7.5 just because
Okay.
I don't know when that switch is going to be to John Denman maybe being that primary-ish running back. And I only say that because I think he's got the and I was talking about this with Stephen Johnson and Jeremy Clark the other day, and I agree with both of them when they said they thought John Denman has a unique combination of physicality, of size, and speed.
Hmm.
And I agree. I think he looks different than the other running backs. The other running backs have their skill sets and they're very valuable, right? Jeremy Payne is smaller and really fast and can catch passes out of the backfield. Kavorian Barnes is big and will fall forward for a few yards and is not afraid of contact. And I think John Denman is right in the middle of that scale,
Hmm.
where he's got this really nice blend of speed and size.
Yeah, I
So
totally agree. I just
yeah,
the kid just looks special, right? Like
he
he
looks
just
good.
looks like he's
He
gonna be.
a lot of these kids in this freshman class don't look like freshmen, and
No,
John
do
Denman
you
falls in that
cannot
category.
convince me Chad Woodfork isn't 30 years old. I won't hear it.
True. All right, we got to get moving on these. We're
Yeah.
half hour in. We've only done 7. All right.
Oh God.
Hot take number 8. Pluto Brown. I don't think this is Pluto Brown again. It might be. Vernon Glover comes back. Vernon Glover is the comeback story of the year. Starts at corner, makes an All Big 12 team. Mild,
Uh,
hot, fire, or Diablo.
I'm gonna go with hot. I would love to see it happen. I think Vernon Glover makes all Big 12. TCU's defense is probably a top 30 unit, right? So yeah, I think it's a great. It would be an awesome story. Would love to see it.
This is a 5 for me because of the makes All Big 12 team part of it. He's going to start. I
Yeah.
think he's the guy that is in trend, like has earned a starting spot at corner so far. Um, Making the All Big 12 team makes this a 5 instead of like a 2 or a 3 for me.
Okay.
Hot take number 9. TRF 51 says Hoover ends the season with a 74% completion percentage, and I'm already looking at what it was last year for you.
I'm gonna go fire. That feels really high. I think
Fire.
he was in the top 60s, like high 60s last year. I want to say like 68 or 69. I might be wrong on that. Again,
His
very old.
completion percentage in 2024 was 66.5.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm changing it. Diablo. I hope you know what, and I'm gonna add a caveat. I hope he doesn't finish with 74% because I hope he takes a few more chances with that. And if you're gonna complete 74% of your chances, your balls, you're probably not taking a ton of chances. And if we lose Josh Hoover, the gunslinger, completely, I don't think that that's the best thing for this offense. I need him to be a little bit more in control than he was at the beginning of the season, throw a few less turnovers. But I don't want a season where Josh Hoover doesn't throw an interception because he's got to take chances. That's when he's at his best.
I'm going to give this an 8.5. I think it's very hot. I think Josh Hoover is capable of this. And I agree with your assessment on the risk taking and the pushing it downfield. I don't think the downfield passing necessarily is going to be a key reason why he doesn't reach this number. I think
Mm.
we're going to see. Man, am I talking myself out of an 8.5 now? No, I'm just going to leave it there at an 8.5, and we're going to move on to hot take number 10.
Okay.
Patterson Shirt says Josh Hoover wins the Heisman.
Diablo. I love Josh Hoover. I think he's an incredible college quarterback and an absolute just a gift to TCU on and off the field. he would have far too much ground to make up because of all of the hype around some of the other quarterbacks in the country, and then also guys like Jeremiah Smith. So I just think if he gets invited to New York, that would be a gigantic win. I just think there's a lot of really big, flashy names of big, flashy schools that are going to get more national attention than he does, and that would I think TCU would have to win the Big 12 outright, and in order for him to do that, which I don't think is impossible, but I'm not going to bank on that at this point. So I'm going to go Diablo on that one.
I'm going to say that this is a 9 for all the reasons that you said. Moving on. Hot take number 11. Griff Gold says, if we win the first 4, our only loss is at Kansas State, and we'll play Arizona State at Jerry World for the title.
You go first on this one.
I think this is a 5. I don't think this is incredibly hot. You look at the first 4 games of the season, North Carolina, Abilene Christian, SMU, at Arizona State. If you win those first 4 games, everybody will be talking about you as the front runner to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
And you will have shown in some pretty good environments at North Carolina, at Arizona State, and against a really good SMU team that you have the bodies and the talent to beat really good teams. So the caveat being, if TCU wins the first 4, they'll do these things. I say that that's a 5.
I will go with just hot as well, for all of the reasons that you said. I do not see a scenario where TCU finishes the regular season 11-1. I think 10-2 would be my best case scenario for this team. But that being said, if they win the first 4,
such a hater, by the way.
I know, 2 losses. I think if they win those first 4, getting to 10 regular season wins is an absolute realistic expectation at that point.
For sure. Moving on. Lobo Frog says, Kavorian Barnes goes 75 yards up the middle on TCU's first play from scrimmage, trips right, tight end motion, straight handoff up the middle. Run the damn football is back with a vengeance.
Lobo Frog, if you're telling us, you're telling Bill Belichick.
Mild hot fire or Diablo?
I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go Diablo only because now that you've put it in writing, we can't possibly run it. So it's gonna have to be a different play. But 75 yards up the middle, nonetheless. Plus, I also think we're gonna have a good kick return on the first play of scrimmage. So
You don't think it's going to be a touchback?
I think it's gonna be 68 yards.
By whom?
75. I'm gonna go. It's gonna be a 68-yard touchdown pass to Eric McAllister off of play action.
All right. So Kavorian Barnes still involved. I'm going to say that this is a 9 because I think the first play from scrimmage is going to be a kickoff return for a touchdown. Okay.
Oh,
I will take no more questions at this time.
All right.
Hot
Love
take
it.
number 13. Howdy555 says Frogs lose to North Carolina and SMU the rest of the season is irrelevant.
I feel like we covered this. Yeah.
Mild hot fire or Diablo?
I'm gonna go. You forgot to put the sauce packets in the bag, and they gave you the wrong person's order. Because losing to UNC and SMU has absolutely no dictation on the rest of the season. It will suck. We will be angry. You'll have to get us to buy back in, but you can still go undefeated in Big 12 play if you lose those 2 games.
All right, I'll put you down for one Verde sauce. Also,
There you go. Verde
I
sauce
think this is a hot take 9.5 because I don't think TCU loses to both North Carolina and SMU.
Okay.
Moving on. Hot take number 14. Jeff McK88 says Ben Taylor Whitfield wins 2025 Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. Colton Deary joins him on the All Big 12 first team offensive line.
Jamie, you go first.
I'm going to say, I'll caveat this after I say it. I think this is a 9. I think that this is a 9 because Ben Taylor Whitfield and Colton Deary could both have excellent years, and I don't think either of them would win Offensive Lineman of the Year. I could see Colton Deary being first team All Big 12. Just knowing the other tackles in this league, and kind of like you were talking about with Hoover and the Heisman front running stuff, like there are tackles in this league that are already kind of on that list. BTW would be the best possible scenario for Ben Taylor Whitfield to end up on that first team offensive line or even second team offensive line. But I'm putting this as a 9 because having both of those things happen feels really, really hot to me.
I will go Diablo on this, and I will add this little nugget too. I think for this offensive line, for TCU fans, and for TCU success as a whole, if we don't hear the names of a single offensive lineman until they announce the all conference selections, that means TCU's probably had a really, really good year, right? Like
Yep.
I think that's what we're hoping for is these guys want to be under the radar, out of the spotlight, down in the dirt, making things happen. And I think they would be ecstatic if nobody talked to them because they were so just doing their job.
Mild hot fire Diablo.
I said Diablo on that one.
Diablo. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're good.
You've 7 Diablo so far for you. All
Wow.
right.
You guys brought it.
Hot take 15. Kenny Seals will get mop up duty in multiple games and plays the whole fourth quarter in 3 games. That's from 799 BC.
Ooh, I feel like I've given out too many Diablos, so I got to rein it in. I'm gonna go fire on this one. I definitely see him getting into multiple games. 3 games for the whole fourth quarter seems excessive. I'm hoping he gets most of the second half against ACU. I could definitely see there being one game that TCU gets well into control. That third game is probably the one that holds me up on this.
The thing is about this is that Abilene Christian would probably be one of these 3 games.
Yeah.
And if they're in a situation where he would play the entire fourth quarter, that means you're probably seeing Schobel at some
Yeah,
point
you're right.
for like a
Yeah.
last drive or something and taking a knee. I'm gonna give this a 9.5. I
Okay.
think that this is really, really hot. I think that going back to the other hot take where we're talking about winning by 10 plus points and all this other stuff, I just don't see TCU being in that many blowouts to the point where Ken is getting 3 full fourth quarters.
Okay. I agree
So,
with that. That's good.
hot
Well
take
played.
number 16. Bobo Go Boom says TCU has too much talent not to win 9 games. Manjack and Joseph Manjack and Juice Hayes both finished with over 600 yards receiving.
What do you think?
I think I'm gonna say this is around like a 6.5, 6.75. Thinking back to last season, TCU had 4 receivers over 600 yards, and thinking about the depth at wide receiver right now, you've got McAllister, Dwyer, Manjack, kind of as the top 3, and then that fourth and fifth receiver, probably Jacoby Hayes, probably a little Ed Small in there as well. Dozie Ezekanma gets back healthy, he's probably going to be in the mix there. So I don't know if Manjack and Hayes both will finish with over 600 yards receiving, just because I don't know if Jacoby Hayes is going to get enough playing time. It kind of goes back to the John Denman thing as well. But Manjack has incredible hands. Watching him play all fall has been great. I think he gets over 600. It's the Juice Hayes that's hanging me up for this. That's why it's a 6.5, 6.75.
Yeah, I agree with you on the second half. To me, that's pretty mild. The question is going to be which of those fourth receivers, like you said, steps up. Right now, Juice Hayes is at an incredible camp, but with true freshmen, until the lights come on, it's really hard to say, right? Like how that's going to translate. But the talent to win 9 games. If this was any other conference but the Big 12, I'd probably feel a lot more confident saying that that's not a spicy take. But this conference is really unpredictable. So I'm gonna go that it's hot. I don't see it as being that ridiculous of an assertion. I think that anybody that follows this team, that roots for this team, that is employed by this team, probably thinks 9 wins is probably at least the expectation you want to build off of last season. But objectively, taking a 30,000-foot view, I don't want to. I need to see more from the rest of this teams in conference before I can say where TCU slides in a win-loss total.
All right. Hot take number 17. Corrupted Frog says there will be 6+ players with over 400 receiving yards, but no one will eclipse 1,000 receiving yards.
I'm Diabloing this one because Eric McAllister is going to have over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, this is a 9.5 for me. Eric McAllister will be closer to breaking the single season record for receiving yards than he will be to not eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark. Moving on, hot take number 19. Prime Beef says there is no middle ground for Coach Sonny Dykes this year. This one also had more. That's why there's the ellipses there.
I like how you did
get
that.
to it. Let me get to it. Let me get to it. We're vamping. We're vamping.
You're
we're
getting there. I believe in you.
We're vamping.
Oh, we're still vamping. Okay. You want me to karaoke or something?
I think I missed it. I think I missed it. Please hold. I'm going back to page. Here we go. How did this one get here? I see what I did. I
Okay.
messed them up. We're going to hot take 18, not 19.
Okay.
Angelo's Frog says Ryan Hughes and Juice Hayes will be freshman All Americans, and Ed Small will be an honorable mention.
Ooh. I'm gonna go spicy. I love it. I think it's great. I think having both of those players be All Americans would mean that, like, if Juice Hayes is a freshman All American, he probably played a much bigger role than anticipated, which makes me feel like maybe somebody got hurt, and I don't know if I like that aspect. And I just think it's hard. It'll be hard for both Juice Hayes and Ed Small to get enough touches to be considered for those teams. So I guess that's where I think it's a little bit spicy.
Yeah, I think this is like an 8 for me just because of the same thing you said, but not like fully outside the realm of
Yeah,
possibility. And especially the Ed Small honorable mention part, like if he does what we think he can do and is
yeah.
capable of and gets the reps to be able to really showcase that, I could see him getting out there.
Well, with
Um,
Jeremy Clark leading the Ed Small parade every single day too, he's going to get so much national attention because Jeremy's only going to write about Ed. Number
this is
one in the
true.
fan club.
Now we get to prime beef. I have found his full comment. There is no middle ground this year for Coach Sonny Dykes. I think this year's team will figure it out, and the fan base will be very happy with the season in CSD. Or this team will be mentally weak after losing to North Carolina, and then SMU. The wheels will fall off, and the fan base will be pissed, and Coach Sonny Dykes will be gone. Bonus hot take: this team will either start the season 1-2 or 3-0, which aligns with my comment above.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's pretty relatively mild, mostly for the reason that I don't think he's wrong. Like, this team cannot have a season like last season where they win, they start so slow, they win a bunch of games down the stretch, but you still felt unsatisfied at the end. You have to feel satisfied at the end. There cannot be the missed opportunities lingering, right? So I don't think it's a spicy take. I think, and I don't think anybody around TCU football or TCU athletics has anything less than those expectations. Like, you either figure it out and look like the type of team you're supposed to be, or it's going to be a disappointment. And again, unfortunately, the schedule is a lot more difficult than it was a season ago on paper. We thought last year's was going to be very difficult on paper too.
This is true.
But you have to go to Manhattan, you have to go to Morgantown, you have to go to Provo, and you open the season with a 2023 type trap game. So this could be 2022 where the team is aligned, the leadership is strong. We saw the captain's name today. I was fired up about the guys that are going to be leading this team from the field, or the wheels come off early. Like, if it's a repeat of last year where they figure it out late, that's going to feel unsatisfying.
I will say that this is a. I'm gonna say this is like an 8.5 because I don't think, like, if we're talking about no middle ground, is a middle ground 7-5,
Yeah,
right? I don't think he's gone after 7-5. I
yeah, I
don't.
agree with
And
that.
so, like, as far as like fan base, displeasure and all this other kind of stuff, sure. But if we're talking about they either are going to the Big 12 championship or he is gone, there being no middle ground, I would say um, that's a pretty hot take.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So that's where I am with that. Moving on, MT Frog 5 says we will have two running backs rush for 700 plus yards.
Oof. Oof. I'm gonna say spicy. I think one for sure, and then a second that gets close. I'm just very interested to see how the touches play out. So I'm gonna call this one spicy.
Well, which one? Mild, hot, fire, Diablo.
Oh, sorry, fire is what I was going with, not
I
spicy.
see. Okay.
Sorry, I'm
You're
confused.
good. It's fine. You chose this on the fly, and now I'm
I
keeping
really, it was
track of
such a
how many
bad
times you
decision.
say each one, and I'm going to tell you at the end how many you have of
Perfect.
each.
Yeah, this was a terrible idea on my
Ah,
part.
I'm going to say that this is an 8.25
Okay.
because, again, you've got four running backs that are kind of in the mix. And what the breakdown of all of that is, we're not sure. I think there will be at least one or two guys that kind of eventually earn the bulk of the carries. But when that happens, how that happens, and how much runway they have left to get to this marker is what makes this kind of a spicier take.
Mm-hmm.
Hot take 21. TCU Frogs 09 says 10-2, beat Baylor in the Big 12 championship game, and then host a playoff game at the Carter.
Start us off.
That is like 5 alarm fire,
Ooh.
9.75 hot.
Hater.
And here's why.
Hater.
A 2-loss Big 12 team will not host a playoff game.
Mm,
That's why this is so
you're
fire
right.
hot.
You're right.
That's why this is so fire hot. The rest of it, like a 7.
Yeah.
But it's the hosting a playoff game at the Carter. If you're 11-2 after winning the Big 12 championship game, that's what makes this so hot.
Yeah, I think you're right. My initial reaction was to go Salsa Verde, but when you brought that point up, we know they don't want the Big 12 to be successful or happy. You're right. It's a fully Diablo. It's a Diablo, and you added some one of the world's hottest chip on top of it. You're right. Yeah, 'cause two loss Big 12 team. Even if you're undefeated in conference play, you're not hosting, and that's a bummer.
It's just
But let's just go 12-1 and host.
perfect. Sounds
Playoff
good.
game at the Carter would be lit.
Incredible, and there'd be no amount of money that would be able to move it off campus. You just get it. Paul in has a couple of these. This is the first one. Hoover's yardage takes a step back this year, but only because our run game is vastly improved, and we have a 100-yard rusher in every game.
Oof, the 100-yard rusher in every game is what makes this one fire to me, because the first half of it to me is Salsa Verde. But a 100-yard rusher, I do think that TCU will rush for considerably more yards per game. I don't think they'll have a 100-yard rusher in every game.
Yeah, this is a 9.2 for me, just because of the 100-yard. Again, we don't know how all these touches are going to split out, or if there's going to be a guy that has enough opportunity to rush for 100 yards every game.
Yeah.
Moving on. Paulina has this one too. Jacoby Hayes is second in receiving yards this year with 710 touchdowns and is a freshman All-American.
Fire. I'm not going to call it Diablo. I'm going to call it fire. Love it. Love the confidence. Again, I just don't know that he'll get the opportunity unless he becomes a wide receiver 1 as a true freshman.
I mean, a wide receiver 2 could get this done, right? A wide receiver 2 could get here.
10 TDs, though. Whew.
That's with his size. You're wondering how's he getting to 10 touchdowns? It's probably a lot of like breakaway speed, go patterns down the seam or flat, just down the sideline, blah, blah, blah. Running deep, catching it, and running for a touchdown. Yep. A lot. I'm going to say this one's an 8.5. Okay. 8.5. Moving on. Hot take 24. Paul and also says our defense is so good this year that Avalos gets hired at Oklahoma State after they fire Gundy.
I hate so much about this. I'm going to call this Diablo as well, only because I do think that TCU's defense can be that good. The guy that follows Gundy cannot have baggage, and Avalos probably still has a ways to go to separate himself from how Boise State ended.
Interesting. I'll say that this is a 9 just because I think Oklahoma State has a bounce back year and Gundy doesn't get fired.
Ooh, okay. So different. We have different. I can definitely see Gundy gone. I think Avalos will either, if TCU's defense is that good, he'll either be like G5 or one more year with TCU.
Sure. I can get on board with that. Moving on. Paulina, our next DC is Gary Patterson.
What's hotter than Diablo?
This is just Diablo. That's what you get. Yeah, this is like a 10. This is the 10 hot take.
Love it, Paul. Love it, but
crazy.
Yeah, you're insane.
And then I believe this is his last one, and it's a lengthy one, so get ready.
Boy.
TCU hosts Texas
the font
in
is so
CFP
small.
game. The game appears to be won for UT until Arch fumbles the snap in victory formation. The ball tumbles around and is scooped up by Bud Clark, who houses it with no time left for the stunning TCU victory. Peyton and Cooper spotted by cameras, fist fighting in a suite while CDC and McConaughey look on. Arch transfers to Tulane in the offseason.
This is like the baseline red sauce. We asked for hot takes. What is this? This is so mild.
This is
I can't
marinara?
even flavor it. Yeah, it's marinara.
I'll put you down for Verde.
Verde.
Yeah, and another 10. This is a 10 out of 10. Paul, you have won this exercise. Moving on.
That was outstanding, Paul.
Brett Muscle says Lemmerman wins over all the doubters with 2 game-winning field goals this season, including one from 45-plus yards.
This is great. I love this. This is exactly what the kind of thing we're looking for. Not Paul and being completely unhinged. I'm gonna go with just hot.
Okay.
Now, because again, I think TCU is going to be in a lot of close games. I really do. So, and I feel like I was a little critical of Kyle Lemmerman last episode. So I'm gonna say, you know what? This is gonna happen. Speak it, manifest it, if you will.
I think that this is a 6 flat
Okay.
because I think there are going to be plenty of opportunities for him to hit field goals in the last few minutes of games this year. He has the leg strength to do it. And also this last week of fall camp, he looked
Yeah.
very good.
You listened
He
to the
looked
show.
very, very good. So I'm
Figured
gonna
it
say
out.
that this is a 6. Maybe he's getting it right. Next up, Senior Frog says TCU will lead the nation in tackles for loss and sacks.
This is going to be a fire for me. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I don't anticipate. Where are you going? Okay, Jamie just disappeared out of frame.
If you're watching on YouTube, just ignore me one more.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna go fire because I don't think it's an impossible thing. I just think there's a lot of factors that go into it, and so I don't think it's gonna happen. But it's not because I don't think TC is talented and good.
I mean, leading the nation in both
Both.
is a I mean that's a tall order.
Yeah.
That's like TCU defense during the Mountain West days when they're allowed to feast on New Mexico and Wyoming, and there are no New Mexicos or Wyoming in the Big 12 this
Yeah.
year, and there are some pretty good offensive lines, two of which I think we saw on Saturday in Dublin. I'm gonna say that this is a 9.5 hot take, but I would love it. All right, moving on. Wrist Explosion says we lead the Big 12 in yards per carry.
Diablo, come on, let's baby step this, folks. Like I don't expect to go from one of the worst in the country to one of the best in the nation.
I'll say that this is an 8.5. This is pretty
Okay.
spicy.
Yeah,
This is pretty hot.
you have a little more
This is a pretty
confidence than
hot
I do.
take.
Would
I
love
don't know
it,
that
but
8.5 is confidence in this thing coming true. I think like a 2 would be confidence in this thing coming
okay.
true. Moving on. Ludacliff says, in an attempt to modernize our game day experience, our concession stands will start serving impossibly difficult to eat stadium foods such as spaghetti, steamed artichokes, and crab legs.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is like a 1. I would love some spaghetti at a football game. I would love to eat crab legs in the August heat in Fort Worth. That would be great. No,
I
this is a 10. This is Ludacliff trying to get a clip out of us so he can
Yeah.
sell some merch. That's what this
Yep,
is.
that's 100% what it is. I don't eat seafood where I can't reasonably get to the ocean where it could have potentially been caught from. So I'm going to go ahead and give
It's
this.
not that long of a flight
I've seen
to
the
the
ocean
Gulf.
in Texas, and I'm not eating anything that comes out of that. I'm
Well,
from
there is no
California.
ocean
I
in
have
Texas.
whatever it
It's a
is.
Gulf, ma'am.
I believe in blue water, not brown. Just saying.
You
But
don't
yeah,
like
this
you don't
is
like bourbon? Anyways, moving on.
that's
No
not
brown
true.
no brown water. Jeff Na says defense is ranked higher than offense. I'm assuming this means like national rankings, top 20, top 30 defense is ranked higher than the offense at the end of the year.
I'm going to go fire on this just because I think that there's, again, like less of an expectation of differential. Like the offense performs like it does last year, it's going to be a top 20 unit. Obviously, you're replacing a lot of key pieces, but I still believe in Josh Hoover. I think the run game will be better. The defense, I do think, will be very, very good. I just think the offense is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 9 as well for all the same reasons. Next, Jeff Na says the offense has 6 games with over 500 yards receiving and 5 with over 400 yards rushing.
You go first on this one.
This one is a 9.9. This is not a 10 just because Paulina already got the 10s for this exercise, but this is a 9.9. This is right up there. 500 yards receiving. Think about that. That means Josh Hoover will have 6 games with over 500 yards passing this season. He has never done that. In fact, I believe that has only happened twice ever in TCU history. So you're saying that he's going to set a record, and also that gets him almost all the way to the yardage he needs this year to reach 10,000 passing yards all time, and that's in only half of the games. This is 9.9 spicy level. I don't remember the last time TCU went for over 400 yards rushing in a game. I think it had to be like LT. Yeah, Diablo.
Yeah, he did 406 by himself. Diablo and Ditto.
Okay, moving on. Here we go. Jeff, now again, nobody makes first team All Big 12. 8 make the second team.
Fire. If that happens, I mean, it doesn't necessarily say anything to TCU's success this season, but you hope that's not the case. So I'm going to say fire. I think they're going to have at least one All Big 12 player on each side of the ball.
I'm going to say that this is an 8.5, 8.75 area. This is pretty hot. I think that TCU has enough top end talent to get at least one person on the first team All Big 12 list. And, put me on the record for thinking it's going to be Josh Hoover. All right, moving on. Uncle Mike says TCU leads the Big 12 in total and scoring defense in 2025. Avalos gets a head coach offer after this year.
I'm going to go Diablo on this just because, again, to lead in both, you're probably looking at a team that's very close to undefeated. And then maybe you're hosting that playoff game in the Carter. But yeah, asking for both is getting greedy. I don't anticipate that happening. I would not be surprised if Avalos gets a head coach offer. Like I said, I definitely could see him getting some G5 offers. But I think that all three of those is what makes this Diablo.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 9 on this one. I think there's some really good defenses in the league. Utah, Iowa State, to name a couple. And I would love to see TCU's defense play like that this year. And if they do, I do think Avalos will get his phone will start ringing again. But I just don't know that they can get all the way there in 1 year.
Yeah.
Frogmandius says Frogs selected to play the SEC in Houston for a bowl game. The Frogs canceled because of COVID.
Too soon.
9.9 for me.
Too soon.
Okay.
Fire. Too soon.
Yes. Here we go. Ultimate Frog says Seals Team 6 will lead us to the conference championship title late this season.
Go ahead.
I think this is okay. I'm gonna say that this is a 7.5.
Okay.
Here's why. Obviously, this would require an injury to Josh Hoover. I don't think any quarterback that is playing at the level that he's playing at or plays as many snaps as him, drops back in as many passes as him, is like totally risk averse to getting injured. I also think that this isn't as spicy as people may think it is because I watched Ken Seals in fall camp this year and he looked really good. He did. Now, people might hear that and think, oh my gosh, Ken Seals looks really good. Why isn't he starting? Because Josh Hoover is the starting quarterback for this team and he also looked very good this fall. But it's nice to know that you have a veteran, good quarterback. And we've talked about this on the last couple episodes where, if it came down to it and Hoover had to miss a couple drives in a game because he was banged up, there's a level of confidence that I have in Ken Seals to be able to come in and move the ball and keep the offense kind of on track. Like, I don't think that that's crazy to think that he would be capable of doing that. And so this is why this is 7.5 for me.
I will say this. I'm going to give it a fire for all the same reasons that you said, but add the little note of information. I don't think there's another backup quarterback that could lead their team to a Big 12 championship game not named Ken Seals in the Big 12 at least. I
like
think
that.
that if there was a team that had to rely on him, I don't think any program is more confident than TCU is in Ken Seals to do that.
I would expand that beyond the Big 12. I don't think there are 15 more schools in the country who are more confident in their backup than TCU right now.
Yeah, I think that's really fair.
Speaking of TCU Maniac says we either go 12-0 or 6-6 in the regular season. There are no other options. There are many other options.
There are many other options, just math-wise.
For the sake of hot takes, I'm gonna say that this is like a 9.2. Like, this is a pretty hot take that they're either 12-0 or 500 in this season.
Diablo. I don't think that those are anywhere close to the only two options for this team. We do have no idea what's going to happen in the Big 12. It's chaos.
All right, moving on. Throwback Frog says the Big 12 will have 2+ teams in the college football playoff this year.
That is because the college football playoff hates us in our conference. That is a Diablo take because basically what you're saying then is that you've got two teams that go into a championship game with at least 10 wins. And I think there's way too much parity for that to happen.
I'm going to say that this is an 8 for me. I am curious about the middle of the Big Ten this year. I am curious about how good and unscathed the top half of the ACC will be come conference weekend this year. And I could see a reasonable path to both Big 12 teams in the conference championship game getting a berth to the college football playoff. I could
Let
see it.
let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
So everyone's talked about Indiana's schedule, right? It is
Sure.
weak AF, as the kids say. Let's say Indiana's only two losses are at Oregon and at Penn State. I don't know the machinations of this, but let's say for whatever reason that eliminates them from the Big Ten championship game. You've got two 10-2 teams in the Big 12 championship game. Would 10-2 Indiana get in over 10-3 loser of the Big 12 championship?
I don't think you're talking about them at that point in that same conversation because the question would be how many Big Ten teams overall
Yeah.
are getting in? Would they be the third or would they be the
Let's
fifth?
say they're the fourth.
Then I think that the Big 12 would still get two in, and you could probably see Indiana in there as well. You're probably at that point talking about is the second Big 12 team getting in or is the third ACC team getting in,
Yeah.
not the fourth Big 10
Well,
team. And so you'd
I
probably
guess
be
they
around
would.
like it'd be like is it Arizona State or is it SMU,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Okay.
Arizona State would get the nod instead of a third ACC team in that regard. If it
Okay.
was those two. Now, if it's
Okay.
all right, if it's Miami that's on the bubble and
Yeah.
Arizona State, then maybe it sways to Miami because of brand. But I don't think this is as crazy as throwback
I hope you're
thinks it
right
is.
because that to me makes it sound like it would be more fair than we anticipate it being. We haven't been in a scenario to test it yet.
This is true. Moving on. And Too Cold You says we are going to dog walk SMU.
I'm not going to give it Diablo because I want it to happen. I'm going to still say fire. SMU is a good team. They bring back a lot of experience. They bring back a quarterback who all TCU fans think about as what he did against Penn State, but we have to remember what he did against TCU. Shot themselves in the foot early, obviously, and made that game a lot easier for the Ponies than it should have been. I think that I hate to say it, but I have to put some respect on SMU's name. I think they're a good team, and that is going to be an absolute battle in the Carter in a few weeks.
I think the game against SMU last year may have a disproportionate weight in your mind
Maybe.
because I think early on TCU was still trying to figure out cornerback, and Kevin Jennings had a good game against TCU. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that. But the running game is what won that game for SMU. And the
Part of it,
turnovers.
which is Kevin Jennings' ability to move the pocket.
Right,
and
but
run
they
the ball.
lost their top two rushers last year. They didn't really. I mean, they got a couple bodies. They lost a couple offensive linemen. I don't know that all is going to lead to TCU dog walking SMU and blowing them out. So I'm going to say that this is like an 8.5. But I don't put too much stock in last year's results kind of stuff.
I respect it.
Moving on. Brian Banks says TCU has a better year running the ball, but the pass game regresses.
I mean, that's mild because I think that TCU will win more games if Josh Hoover doesn't throw for 4,000 yards again, right? Like at the end of the day, you need the running game to take the burden off. So I don't think that's a hot take. If one, then the other. So I'm going to call that mild and say I wouldn't even consider the passing game regressing in that sense. I'd consider it evolving.
If TCU could run the ball better last year, they would have had 11 wins instead of 9.
Yeah,
They would have beaten Baylor and they would have beaten Central Florida.
100%.
I say this is like a 3. I don't see the passing game regressing to me is just like a yardage total regression, but I don't think it's going to be less efficient.
Yeah, totally agree.
Just to clarify, I think Brian has another one. Yes, the TCU North Carolina Ireland game is moved to Dubai, and we get $50 million. Thanks, Brett Yormark.
I mean, every day that seems more and more likely. So I'll go with hot. I'll take the 50 million if they'll give me a cut of it.
I don't think
I don't
you'll
need
get a
much.
cut of it.
I don't need much.
I'll hold $1. I'll hold $1 or two. Yeah, 10. Congratulations, Brian.
Got a 10.
Mad Max Duggan says the TCU defense will be first in the Big 12. Go for
Go
it.
ahead. Oh, me? Okay. I'm gonna say that is a fire take. If they finish in the top 3 or 4, I will be very, very happy with this defense. But as you've mentioned a couple of times, there's some really good defenses in this league. I think finishing first would require a lot. And while I do think TCU's defense will be improved and will be more than good enough, I don't think they'll be the statistically best defense of the conference.
I'll give this a 7.5. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I think it is kind of spicy.
Yeah.
Mad Max Duggan had this one as well. Hoover will be the top quarterback in the Big 12. I will
Verde,
gladly start
baby.
here, and I
Yeah,
will
go ahead.
say this is a 3.5. This is
Yeah.
not a hot take at all. I already think coming into this year, he is a top 3 quarterback in the league, along with Robertson, and Sam Levitt.
Hmm.
And I don't think he's third,
Yeah.
right? And I need to see Sam Levitt run this offense without Cam Scatabo, and I need to see Sawyer Robertson get better in the passing game. So I don't think this is very hot at all.
Yeah, I'm going to give it Salsa Verde for all the reasons that you said. I think that Josh Hoover is the least talked about great quarterback in the country. He is probably the most underrated quarterback in the country. And the best part about it is that man does not care. And
Yeah.
Josh is just going to go play football and is the most level-headed, delightful person. You're like, for all of the reasons that we love him off the field is why I think he's going to be so exceptional on it. Nothing is going to phase him.
Yep. Moving on. Mad Max Duggan says the run game will be much improved.
Verde.
It's like another 3 for me. All right,
Yeah.
Verde. And we've already kind of talked about it, so we'll just keep
Yeah.
going. TCU Fiesta Bowl Champions 22 says Baylor TCU will be college game day.
Oh, do we need to look at the schedule for that week? I feel like because again, I think both of those teams could be playing for something pretty big that weekend, and so there's no reason it wouldn't be a potential
So-
game of the week.
We're talking about middle of October, October 18th. Other games that week that could potentially, just looking at the schedule, be game day. SMU is at Clemson that week.
Okay.
You've got Ole Miss at Georgia that week.
Ooh.
You've got Tennessee, Alabama that week. You've got Texas Tech and Arizona State that week. Oklahoma and South Carolina. You got some bangers. You've got some
SMU,
bangers that
Clemson,
week.
depending on what happens. If TCU beats SMU and SMU is not a ACC title contender, I mean, Clemson's probably a national championship contender this year.
Right, but third Saturday in March is the one that I'm worried about, right? Or third Saturday in October. Third Saturday in March, what? Third Saturday in October with Tennessee, Alabama is the one that would probably just kind of generically get the nod, unless Baylor and TCU were both like top 15 teams at that point.
Yeah. So I'll go fire. And really, like, ultimately, I think what it comes down to is TCU still has work to do to reestablish itself as a national brand, which I do think they can work towards this season.
I agree. I will say this is an 8 out of 10. Jake White says Channing Canada builds off the end of last year and becomes TCU's best cornerback this season. I will go 6 with this one. I think that Channing has done an incredible job in the 2 years here of working his tail off as a JUCO transfer and becoming a more than serviceable, I would say above average cornerback in the Big 12. Last year, he was put in a really challenging situation with the loss of Avery Helm and Vernon Glover, and I thought he was the second best corner on the team last year behind Scud James. And so, yeah, I don't think this is totally unreasonable to think that Canada could come out and be the best corner on the team. I still think the odds are probably in favor of Vernon Glover at this point. But yeah, this is like a 5 for me.
Yeah. Channing Canada, CB1, Vernon Glover, comeback player of the year. TCU is probably really, really good, and all of you guys predicting them to be first in the conference defensively are probably right. So yeah, I'll give it a hot. Cornerback is such a mental position too, that if he's had the mental growth that I'd anticipate building off of last year, there's absolutely no reason he can't be one of the best cornerbacks in this conference, and that would make him one of the best cornerbacks at TCU, obviously.
Obviously. Moving right along. Jake has another one. He says DJ Rogers has a really nice year and gets some all Big 12 votes.
I mean, we have not seen much or any of Kamori and Pimpton, right, in fall camp.
We've seen Chase Curtis.
We know Chase Curtis. We know what he is going to give to this team and how important he is in so many ways. Probably not going to be an all-conference tight end. Does a lot of little things well. Lafayette Kawe has had a pretty decent camp.
Yeah.
But without knowing the long-term status of Pimpton, this is DJ Rogers' job to lose, right?
Yeah, he's had a good
Um,
fall. I've really enjoyed seeing him. He's been a nice kind of middle of the field, intermediate passing game threat. He seems to have a really good rapport with Hoover. I could see this. I could absolutely see this happening, and I like that it's just gets him all Big 12
yeah,
votes. Like maybe be an honorable mention kind of guy.
yeah.
Yeah, I give this like a 5.5
Yeah, I'll
on the
call
heat
it a
meter.
mild. I think the biggest thing standing, if he ends up being the starting tight end, or if Pimpton misses an extended period of time, I think the biggest thing is where's the ball going, and how many receivers you're trying to feed. But
Sure.
I don't see any reason DJ Rogers can't be a really, really good tight end, have a great season, and get some votes. I think that's very reasonable.
When you try to define really nice year, what does that look like for a tight end in this offense?
Oh my
Because like
God,
let's Jared Wiley's like great year,
yeah,
right?
he was
Exceptional
what,
year for a
almost
tight end.
800 yards or something,
Hmm.
700, 800. Yeah. So I mean, to me, if DJ Rogers has 4 touchdowns, 500 receiving yards, and can be counted on in the running game as a blocker, could be a good downfield blocker. That to me is you've had a great season for a TCU tight end compared to what we've seen the last few years.
I think I would flip those a little bit, and I would say give me like 400 to 450 yards and give me
Okay.
6 touchdowns, right?
Okay.
Like red, big
Yeah.
body, red zone threat.
Sure.
Over the middle of the field can catch a pass. We saw him do that a couple times last
Yeah.
year. Seen it a little bit in fall camp this year. That's reasonable.
He feels like a guy that we've stopped talking about, but that's always been lingering with the opportunity to break out. And this is maybe the best opportunity he's had to be tight end one ever at TCU.
Agreed. I like him. He's a good kid.
Yeah,
Good kid.
good kid.
Older veteran guy, leader
Yeah.
on the team.
And stuck around.
Hmm.
Like he stuck around despite knowing that he was not going to be a first option a lot of times. So you want to
Yeah.
see a kid like that be successful.
Absolutely. Jake has another one, I believe. He says Terry Shelton is the freshman wide receiver we talk about the most this year over Ed Small and Jacoby
First
Hayes.
first time his name has come up, and I can't believe it. I mean, look, what a great problem TCU has. That you have
Yeah.
three true freshman wide receivers. We've been talking about Juice and Ed Small, and all of a sudden remind us Terry Shelton was the highest ranked of any of them.
He was the highest ranked guy in the class, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, so I mean, you would
One of
know.
them, I think
Yeah,
Woodfork and
yeah.
yeah. But anyways.
34-year-old Chad Woodfork. It's not fair to compare the two. Terry Shelton does look less than 20. Chad Woodfork looks like he's seen some things, and I think he was awesome working at the Ace Hardware down the street. Look, I love this. It's really hard for me to say this is anything but fire because I feel like we've seen so much more of Small and Hayes in the offense, and we kind of feel like we have an understanding of what their role might be. But if Terry Shelton is the guy we're talking about the last 4 games of the season, I'm not shocked whatsoever.
So Terry got on campus in January, and through spring ball and the first couple of weeks of fall camp, really struggled, I think, to create separation and to get past DBs. He was having there's a lot of learning curve there as far as the physicality of the position at college level. And that's not a slight on him. A lot of
Sure.
guys have to adjust the physicality of college
He's
ball.
not a super thick kid.
But the last 2 weeks of fall camp that we got to watch, something clicked. Something clicked for him. I'll say this: we were at the first scrimmage in the Carter, but I think it was 2.5, 3 weeks ago now, when they were out there and they were running, and he didn't have a great route. He was kind of not running at full speed, and it wasn't a coach that got to him first. It was Eric McAllister. Said, "You got to get after it out here," and really kind of got on him about not running that route to his full capacity. And I don't know if that was the thing for Terry, but he has looked like the 4-star kid, the high 4-star kid that they flipped from Arizona that they really, really wanted in this class since that conversation with Eric McAllister. He's made multiple one-handed catches. He was bracketed on a go route down the sideline where he one-handed one and then got both feet in bounds. It would have been a catch in the NFL. Had everybody freaking out.
We saw.
He
We
is
saw.
he
Saw
has
you.
looked so good the last couple of weeks. I still think this is like a 7.5 on the Heat scale, just because I think he is playing a little bit from behind as far as his fellow freshman wide receivers are concerned. But I think the sky is the limit for Terry
Yeah.
Shelton. I don't think he will. I don't think he will be here for 4 years. I think there will be an NFL team calling his name before that. I think he is incredibly, incredibly talented. How that
Yeah.
bears out as a freshman, TBD.
Love it.
Moving on. Braxton Garza says TCU wins the Big 12 and makes a deep run in the CFP. Hoover finishes top 2 in Heisman voting, but not number 2.
I mean, Diablo is heck. I love it. I love the optimism. What's a deep run? Like, are you getting it back to the championship game? I think those are the questions. And winning the Heisman again, it's just going to be a long road to hoe. But I do have a lot of confidence that Josh Hoover can be a great quarterback at TCU and lead them to a Big 12 championship game. And that to me is that's what I'm worried about first.
Yeah, this is a 9 for me, just because of the winning the Heisman thing.
Yeah.
TCU will win at least enough games to be in the conversation for bowl eligibility.
JD.
That is from Master of Activities.
JD. That's salsa verde. Come on, man. Like, I mean, I know the over under was 7.5, or 6.5, six and a half, right? If this is where we're at, we're having a lot of different conversations too around it. So I can't wish that upon us now. I want to be able to still have interesting things to talk about in November. So I'm going to call it mild.
Yeah, this is like a 4. Injuries could derail this season.
Sure, for sure.
But, yeah.
We're not wishing that upon anybody.
And last but not least, TCU Lotus Leaves says Josh Hoover will have less than 2 seconds to drop back and throw this year.
I mean, I got to go Diablo because we're like, again, like we're in a world of hurt if that's the case. So I think that I, much like you said towards the beginning of this an hour and a half ago, we don't want to make sweeping proclamations about any of the line play based off of fall camp. And maybe it's just because I feel like we know these guys pretty well, but I just have a lot more faith and confidence in them. And I do believe that they will be a better unit than a season ago. And we saw what Josh did with a subpar offensive line last year. I think he'll be just fine this year.
I mean, the offensive line was actually decent in pass protection last year.
That's true.
And it was run blocking that really killed him. I think this offensive line is more improved. I think they get better because Cade Bennett is back and healthy and Colton Deary is playing center.
Yeah.
You've got Ryan Hughes at left tackle, who's looked really good this fall. So I'm going to say that this is a 9 out of 10. Melissa, that brings your Taco Bell salsa ratings tally to Verde 5, mild 3, hot 7, fire 13, and 18 Diablo rankings.
Proud of you guys, the listeners.
Hot takes that we have
proud of y'all. You brought
discussed here today. That's going to do it for this episode of Frogs Insider. We are back in season mode, so you will hear more from us in the feed this week. Melissa's getting her preview series back up and running. I've got a little something that I'm going to do this week as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for more podcasts from Frogs Insider. Again, you can find us at our own feed. You can find us at the Dave Campbell's feed, and you can find us on YouTube at Frogs Insider. Wherever you get your shows, wherever you want to listen to us, we are available. Very excited because the next couple episodes here, we're getting into we're on to North Carolina.
We're on to North Carolina. And if y'all see us in Chapel Hill, come say hi, say what's
Absolutely.
up. Looking forward to it. We'll both be live on the scene, which I know we're both really excited about.
Live on the scene and maybe live after the scene.
Maybe live after the scene too.
But for now, she's Melissa, I'm Jamie, and we'll talk to you next time. Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.